You feel like you're running on empty when you try to figure out why you don't even know where to look to figure it out. Happens to me more than I'd like to admit, like a lot of things, and it usually means it's time to slow down and to pay attention. I've been reading the book Flow, and don't ask me to pronounce the author's name. It's a doozy. I've heard it pronounced before and I can't reproduce it. So I'll just put it in the show notes so you can look that up if you'd like. But in that book, even though it is extremely over my head, I'm trying to learn some things from that are kind of hard, but I'm picking up some interesting nuggets here and there. And attention is one of the things that it talked about. And so that's where my mind goes whenever I talk about trying to change something. The first thing we need to do is change where we put our attention. And in that book, that attention is needed to retrieve the appropriate references from memory, to evaluate the event, and then to choose the right thing to do. Now, he also said that attention is our most important tool in the task of improving the quality of an experience. So that does seem to back up how I've always felt about this, that it's extremely important. And it's always been the beginning of anything that I've wanted to change. You just simply have to start paying attention. So let's go back to running on empty and try to figure out why it's so hard to figure out where to start. Like, why are you running on empty? What's missing? So we're going to go back to that definition, paying attention. It's where you start paying attention to what's going on in your everyday days, not the ones that are high energy level or where you're going all over the place. That's obvious why you don't feel fueled up and ready to go. I'm talking about the times when it's just a regular day and you feel empty. So I want you to go back and pay attention to what you're doing. That's the obvious place to start, in my opinion. Now, I also took some of the information that I wanted to share with you today from some things that Mel Robbins broke down, just these 4 areas, and then I've added in some things that I thought were important to add. They are really basic, and I personally think that's really good, because why do we need to get into the deep information that's out there when we're not even applying the basic things? It's better to just get started than to be overwhelmed. So let's start by looking at our everyday. Now, in what Mel Robbins said, I learned 4 areas of life that are a good place to start looking at, to evaluate, see how you're doing, and try to figure out why your fuel feels low. Or more importantly, and most often, is you just need to add more fuel to what's going on, like something you can actually do. So there are 4 areas that she broke down. Number 1 is health and wellness. Number 2 is your work, your career, or your business. And that means outside or inside the home to me. 3 is relationships and love. And 4 is fun and happiness. Okay, 4 great areas. There's nothing shocking there, but it is nice to have someone help you to know where to start, right? So we've got it. 4 places where we can start. So I'll take you through a few thoughts on each one of these, and you decide where you need to put a little more attention. See what sounds right to you and just write them down, make a little mental note, something that you can do in each area that can add fuel. Now choose little things to help you go in a new direction. Don't try to do something big, because usually that breaks you down because you're not used to that. Start little and you can add little things. And once all those little things are put together, we end up with something big. If you are really low on fuel, it doesn't even make sense to start with something huge, because you don't have anything to thrust you or move you through if the fuel's gone. Okay? Doesn't make sense. So let's just remember that. All right. So number 1, health and wellness. Now, I have found in my own experience, and with most of the things that I studied when I was getting ready for this, the number 1 thing you can do to improve your overall health and wellness is to get enough sleep. Wouldn't you agree that sleep, or the lack of it, can change how you approach most things? Now, we have all heard all the information about how to get a better night's sleep, the sleep routine that you need to have, the things to avoid before you go to sleep. I don't even need to go into all that because I know you've heard them. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can Google it, or you can always email me too, because I'm happy to share those things because I've tried them all. Sleep is one of my areas that I battle all the time. But we all can agree that if you get more sleep or a better night's sleep, everything else seems to feel just that little bit better. Wouldn't you agree? All right, number 2, work, career, or business. And this is one that I really agree with the information that I found. The best thing you can do to add more fuel to your career is to keep learning more about it. Find a book in that area that sounds interesting to you. Get out and talk to people who are a few steps ahead of you in your chosen field. I do wish I would have done more of this in my chosen field when I was a parent. I wish that I would have asked people just a few steps ahead of me a little bit more about how to do that. I usually jump to people that were way ahead of it. Kind of where I am now, where I have none of my children at home. You look at life differently when they're all gone, as opposed to when you're just a few steps ahead of someone. So find somebody that has kids just a few years older than yours and ask them, or in whatever your work is, find somebody ahead of you in the company, find somebody that has made a little more progress than you and talk to them, learn more. You can also take a class. Oh, I love that. I love learning more things. Don't limit yourself to anything. Like, look into all areas of your career that you've chosen and find something that you want to learn just a little bit more about. All right, number 3, relationships and love. Now, there are mixed reviews of the most important thing you can do here. And that makes sense to me too, because there are no two relationships that are the same. And there are different types of relationships, right? So you have your love relationships, you have your family relationships, you have friends, you have colleagues, all sorts of different relationships. So I can see why the information out there would be different. There's too many variables. But also remember the one of the relationship you have with yourself. That is another important relationship. So a few of the top ways to improve any relationship is to improve the way you communicate. You can make quality time to spend together, being vulnerable with each other, sharing things that are deeper within you. That will improve a relationship. And then there's even this one that I like. Spend some time apart. Every relationship needs a little bit of a break, no matter how much you like each other's company. So those are some really good ideas of things you could try to get more fuel in your relationships. And the last category, number 4, is fun and happiness. In this last category, I was excited to find the top thing to having a happier life is connection. You know that I love connection. My whole business is built around connection. So you also know that I believe that you need to connect with yourself first, and then you're able to make better connections with everyone else. So take the time to make connections with you in all those other ways that I gave, and then you'll see how your relationships and your ability to connect with others improve. Now, to end, Mel Robbins also said to add more fun and happiness into your life, enjoy the little things, because the little things are everything. That's her quote. The little things are everything. And I believe that's true. So in all of these areas, health and wellness, work, career, or business, relationships and love, and fun and happiness, I'd like to add that it is so important to choose to act like the kind of person that you want to become. You don't have to wait to live the life that you want. Act like you're already living it. This has everything to do with how you view what you're doing. You don't have to be on vacation to take a little break. You don't have to get all of your kids out of diapers before you can finally feel free. You don't have to wait for anything. Just choose that that's how you want to feel, and then do the things that help you to feel that way, to create those kind of feelings in yourself. Now, if I've had this quote on my wall for I don't even know how many years, and I'm always surprised it's still sticking there, but it is. I can see it right now. And I love it more the more time passes. So Richard G. Scott said, "We become what we want to become by consistently being what we want to become each day. Don't you just love that? When you change how you feel, you change how you act, and that changes everything. So get out there and create some momentum. Take forward action and get that lift and create the fuel that you need to carry yourself through. I hope you have a wonderful day. And remember, I see you. I understand how hard you're trying, and I'd like to help however I can. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you back here again next week.